It is Wednesday, July 29th, 2020, and you are tuned into DIRTRACKR Daily. I'm Justin Fiedler. The World of Outlaws Late Model Series was at Davenport Speedway last night for the first of 7 races in 12 days. The field included the usual suspects, plus names like Jimmy Mars, Bobby Pierce, Shane Clanton, Jimmy Owens, and others. All in all, there were 29 cars on the property. In the feature, it was Cade Dillard and Chad Simpson who started together on the front row, and Simpson was able to use the top to grab the early lead over Dillard. It seemed like it took a few laps to get the bottom worked in, but then when it did, Dillard was able to jump down and use that line to get past Simpson for the lead on lap 6. Behind Dillard, Brandon Sheppard was quickly by Simpson as well, and he set off to try and run down the 97. Before the leaders caught lap traffic, Dillard was able to put a gap on second place, but once they caught the back of the field, Sheppard and Jimmy Owens in third closed right back up on Dillard's bumper. Sheppard took the lead on lap 19, but the battle out front was far from over. A couple of mid-race cautions kept the field bunched up, and as the race approached 15 laps to go, Sheppard, Dillard, and Owens were right together out front, with Sheppard and Owens on the top and Dillard stuck to the bottom. The battle for the lead between Sheppard and Dillard became who could get enough drive off turn 4 lap to lap to officially lead the line, with it being nearly a dead heat lap after lap. Sheppard led lap 35, Dillard led laps 36 and 37, Sheppard back again on lap 38, and back and forth they went. Coming to 4 laps to go, a lap car held up Dillard on the bottom just enough to allow Sheppard to get his nose out front. Sheppard held on over the final laps to take his 11th win of the season and 7th in the past 10 races. Dillard ended up 2nd, Owens 3rd, Jimmy Mars 4th, and Chris Simpson finished in 5th. With the two established grooves, it turned into a really fun back and forth between the leaders, especially over that final 15 laps or so. It was really similar to the Davenport show on the smaller track back at the end of May. That night, it was Sheppard and Ricky Thornton Jr. who swapped the lead multiple times late. I'd say Davenport really has something going with this smaller configuration, and social media was definitely raving about the race last night. The win sees Sheppard extend the points lead now to 214 over Ricky Weiss. Darrell Lanigan is 3rd, Cade Dillard 4th, and Chase Youngins is 5th. The World of Outlaws Late Models head to Kokomo Speedway for 2 nights this coming Friday and Saturday. We'll talk about that race or those races as the week goes on. In other racing last night, the USMTS was at Mason City Motor Speedway for night 1 of Mod Mania. Tanner Mullins grabbed his 3rd win of the season over Zach Vanderbeek, with Rodney Sanders 3rd, Hunter Marriott 4th, and Terry Phillips in 5th. Rodney Sanders continues to lead the series standings. Mod Mania continues tonight and tomorrow at Mason City Motor Speedway. Indiana Sprint Week is back tonight for the USAC National Sprint Cars. The series heads to the Terre Haute Action Track, where Tyler Courtney has won the previous 2 years. Interestingly, though, Courtney is absent from tonight's entry list. That leaves Kevin Thomas Jr., Chase Stockin, and Chris Windham as the 3 drivers in the field who've previously won at Terre Haute. Brady Bacon enters the night as the Sprint Week points leader by 5 over Justin Grant. Grant continues to lead the series long standings as well. CJ Leary is the most recent winner with the series, having won back-to-back at Kokomo and Lawrenceburg over the weekend. Tonight's broadcast begins on Flow Racing at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. The Summer Nationals and Modified Nationals are also back racing tonight after a few nights off. They take on LaSalle Speedway in LaSalle, Illinois. Brian Shirley is hot with the late models, winning 2 of the last 3 races, and he currently leads the series standings. Nick Hoffman swept the Modified weekend, and he'll be looking to make it 3 in a row tonight at LaSalle. Every night of the Summer Nationals can be watched live on Dirt Vision with your Fast Pass. If you're looking for a little 410 sprint car racing tonight, Lincoln Speedway in Pennsylvania is in action with the 10,000 to win Dryden 40 event. The night will use the Dirt Classic format and should draw a nice field of cars. Besides the PA regulars, I've seen David Gravel will be in attendance, and he might not be the only traveler coming into Lincoln tonight. You can watch all of the racing live from Lincoln on Flow Racing. It came out on Twitter about a week ago that a Sammy Swindell book is in the works right now, and that it might be out by Christmas of this year. Jordan Swindell tweeted last night that she's going to start sharing some excerpts over the next couple of months, and she shared the first one last night. If you want to see it, go find her Twitter account out at Joe Swindell. That's JOSWINDELL. The rest of the book is like this excerpt. This will be a really fun one to read, so keep an eye on that in the coming months. I talked yesterday on the show, something interesting that I noticed. I talked yesterday on the show about the Flow Racing All Access videos, and they came out with a new one yesterday following Justin Grant at Lawrenceburg as part of Indiana Sprint Week. Between the Chris Windham episode and yesterday's with Justin Grant, something interesting both drivers did during the night to learn about the track and see the other lines guys were running. They were actually watching the Flow Racing broadcast during the night. They showed Windham in his car watching on his phone, and then they showed Grant watching on an iPad in the trailer. When I was co-hosting Open Red, a few drivers we talked to about race preparation, mentioned watching old dirt visions to get ready for upcoming races, to try and learn lines and see how things, kind of progress through the night. But I thought this was interesting to kind of see two guys literally doing it in real time as they got ready to qualify or try to make setup changes through the night. These guys were looking for any little bits of information they could gather, including from that streaming broadcast to make their cars or maybe their racing lines better. I'm sure there are a lot of other drivers that do this, but it's not something you get to see very often. And it kind of shows the level of focus and dedication that it kind of takes from these guys at the top that they need to have to try and be competitive each night. And if you're somebody who is an up and coming racer or somebody who's trying to be better, these are those little small things throughout the night. Something like this, or those the research that you put in leading up to that night that can make a real difference. Night to night and how you kind of handle tracks and changes and things like that. So just something interesting I noticed on those all access videos that I wanted to point out, something that kind of stood out to me. If you're looking for other dirt racing podcast episodes to check out this week, there are a bunch of new ones. Wing Nation has episodes with Todd Quiring, the new owner of Huset Speedway, and then Shane Stewart and Buddy Kofoid, fresh off their wins over the weekend. Rip the Fence did an Indiana Sprint Week pool show, which might be a little late at this point, but still would be a good one to listen to. Top Shelf has Mark Vanderheiden. The Dirt Nerds have a new episode, and the Dirt from Knoxville has a new episode with Carson McCarl. The new QuickTime show that I put up has an episode as well with Doug Lovegrove. I've also added another new show to the podcast section of DIRTRACKR.com, where Outlaws competitor Wayne Johnson has a weekly show he does called Wednesdays with Wayne, and you can find it on the site now as well. He does a new episode every Wednesday updating, what racing he's done in the previous week. So if you want to check those out, you can find that on the site now as well. To find links to these shows and all those episodes, you can do that at DIRTRACKR.com/podcasts. Let's get a quick look at the Dirt Tracker streaming schedule for tonight. Dirt Vision has a pair of shows, LaSalle Speedway for the Summer Nationals and Modified Nationals, and then they've got a Dirt Kart Esports event, Street Stocks at the USA International Speedway on iRacing. Flow Racing has a bunch of stuff tonight as well. They've got that USAC Sprint Car Show for Indiana Sprint Week from Terre Haute. They've also got the Super Dirt Car Series return at Bridgeport Motorsports Park. We talked about the Super Dirt Car Series on the show yesterday. The race tonight will be the first points-paying race of the season. You can watch that live on Flow Racing. That Lincoln Speedway show, the Dryden 40 that I just mentioned, is on Flow Racing. Flow Racing also has USAC 24/7 and another Wild Wednesday Sprint Car Shootout from the Marysville Raceway. Those have been really fun to watch this year. If you haven't checked those out, 360 Sprint Cars from Marysville have been some wild races and some wild finishes in those events. Race and Dirt has Night 2 of Mod Mania from Mason City Motor Speedway, and Speed Sport has IMCA action tonight from Buena Vista Raceway. If you want to see that full schedule, you can find that at DIRTRACKR.com/watch tonight. That has the full list of all of those races, plus links to click through to be able to watch all of those. And again, that gets updated every single day. That's it for the show today. Hope everybody has a good Wednesday. You can find Dirt Tracker Daily on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or where you get podcasts. Please subscribe and leave a review. You can also watch the show every day on YouTube and Facebook. You can email the show at info@dirttracker.com, and you can follow along at facebook.com/dirttracker, twitter.com/dirttracker, and the website itself, dirttracker.com. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Justin_Fiedler, and don't forget to sign up for the Dirt Tracker weekly newsletter on the site. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow for more Dirt Tracker Daily.